I rise to speak briefly on behalf of the Greens in support of this legislation. Violence against women and children is a problem of epidemic proportions in Australia. 1 in 3 women has experienced physical violence since the age of 15, and 1 in 5 has experienced sexual violence. On average, a woman is killed by an intimate partner every 10 days in this country. Rates of violence are even higher for certain groups, including Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women. At least 700 women have been murdered since the first National Plan to Reduce Violence Against Women and Their Children was adopted 12 years ago. Over 50 women were killed by violence in 2022, and the demand for domestic violence services continues to grow. Mr. Acting President, or Acting President, even one death due to domestic violence is one too many. Research shows that in the 2014-15 year, the cost to the Australian economy of those experiencing physical violence, sexual violence or emotional abuse by a partner was $12.6 billion. And by 2015-16, the cost had increased to $22 billion. It can only be assumed that the impact of COVID-19 on households will have had an even greater financial and personal cost. The indirect psychological impacts of family and domestic violence include pain, fear, suffering, replacing damaged household items, changing schools, leaving home, settling a partner's debt. These things all not only take time, but a very significant cost comes with them. All of these indirect costs are not counted. The President of the ACTU, Geg Kearney, said family and domestic violence was an insidious issue and that addressing it enables women, men and children to escape the cycle of violence. She emphasised, and I quote, "If we don't do something now, we will be guilty of turning a blind eye to the single biggest contributor to death, illness or disability of women between the ages of 15 and 44 years of age." Research into workplaces that have existing family and domestic violence leave policies in place show it can have significant benefits for affected employees, their employers and those workplaces. The changes proposed in this bill will have an enormous impact on those who need it. Many people are victim survivors of family and domestic violence, and they may not be able to afford to take 5 days of unpaid leave. This bill provides that all employees, no matter their working hours, are entitled to up to 15 days of paid leave each year, and importantly that this leave is paid at the employee's full rate of pay, including any overtime, allowances or other loadings. Maintaining stable employment is an important measure to help support people to escape abusive relationships. The introduction of paid leave is intended to allow victims of family and domestic violence to take time off work without losing their income, without losing their job, to help them exit dangerous and harmful domestic situations. Workers escaping family and domestic violence situations will no longer have to choose between their safety and their keeping their job and putting food on the table. They should never have been the choice that our society made them take to ensure their safety or the safety of their loved ones. But while this bill is an important step, we need to still address the underlying factors that do lead to this abuse. We need better education about what respectful relationships look like. We need to address poverty and access to the necessities such as housing, which does play a pivotal role in reducing violence in our communities. In fact, it is our job in this place to ensure that we use our political will and our political capital to make those life-altering changes to preserve value and respect, particularly the lives of women. Again, to quote the ACTU President, cultural change is not enough. Action must be taken to support workers affected by violence, and establishing a basic standard on paid leave will ensure that all workplaces do this. With that, I commend the bill.